I've been covering pot stocks since before anyone cared about them. As far back as 2014, my readers were reaping the rewards of this new industry. And since then, we've done quite well, even banking 830% on the first marijuana stock to reach $1 billion market valuation. We were there first and in ahead of the herd. But a new model is evolving in this young industry that I think will be even more lucrative than anything we've seen yet. It's a new company that just started trading in May that is developing a new way of doing business in the industry. You see, before, the industry was like the early days of Silicon Valley. Garage entrepreneurs and stoners were growing weed for cash. But now the big money and bankers have come in. They see the multi-billion dollars up for grabs and they want in. Fortunately, because I've been in the pot stock space for so long, we can have a seat right beside them. Before this company even started trading, it called to give me the heads up about what it was up to and how my readers and I could participate along with it. The model it's employing is similar to the silver streaming model pioneered in the 1990s and early 2000s. Companies like Franco-Nevada and Royal Gold would give smaller companies cash in exchange for two things. 1. Equity or stock in the smaller company, and 2. A portion or stream of the silver the smaller company produced. The strategy worked brilliantly. Not only could the larger company and its shareholders benefit when the stock of the smaller companies went up, but it also benefited from the revenue generated from the sale of the silver it got from the smaller companies. The companies that employed this model and their shareholders got absolutely rich. Shares of Franco-Nevada went from $11.60 to $105.69, a gain of 811%. Royal Gold shareholders did even better. They saw their shares climb from $2.31 to $100.84, a gain of 4,265%. That turns a small investment of $10,000 into over $435,000. This new marijuana company is going to employ the exact same strategy. And the gains could be even bigger because unlike silver, marijuana is a ground floor industry with pent-up demand and nearly insatiable investor appetite. Plus, no one even knows about this new company yet. Like I said, it just started trading, and it gave me an early heads up about its plans. This company just raised $150 million to lend to several smaller marijuana companies. And in exchange for that loan, this marijuana company will get stock in the companies it lends to and a portion, or stream, of their marijuana production. The fact of the matter is, as I'll describe in a minute, governments are reducing restrictions on marijuana left and right. Because of that, production needs to grow 10 times in the next 10 years. Companies are racing to meet the demand, and those that do are making shareholders rich in the process. But many are running into one hurdle. They can't get cash to grow. Banks, for the most part, are still unwilling to lend to cannabis companies. So this new marijuana streaming company is stepping in to fill a market void. The streaming model has all sorts of advantages. Because it is lending money in exchange for shares and a production stream, the streaming company has zero operational expense. And because it's lending to several smaller companies, it greatly diversifies its risk, and yours. It's also diversifying geographically and will have growers in various locations across North America. Plus, it has the very real opportunity of exporting this model to new markets. Because it's Canadian, where the legal framework for legal pot is being pioneered right now, other countries are looking to it as a leader. In all likelihood, it could become a main supplier in large markets like Germany, which has a population more than twice that of Canada. The end of marijuana prohibition is here. Pot stocks have already seen incredible gains, but we haven't seen anything yet. Before I tell you more about this streaming company, including how to invest in it today, just days after it began trading, let me tell you a bit more about why cannabis is here to stay and why it makes for such a lucrative investment. In late April, leading government officials made an explosive announcement, a legal move that single-handedly unleashed a $150 billion untapped market. Forbes writes this event will make investors extremely wealthy. Troy Dayton, CEO of the hedge fund ArcView Group, says new millionaires and potential billionaires are about to be made. And in anticipation of this event, government insiders moved their money into cannabis and saw bigger profits than their salaries. like a 2016 presidential candidate who also happens to be president of a $67 million Nevada pot firm. Although he didn't win, election year proved absolutely gangbusters for his portfolio. In fact, the share price of his tiny marijuana stock surged from 33 cents in February to $8.25 in November. That's a whopping 2,500% gain in just 9 months. These sorts of returns could make a president's salary look like peanuts, and it's all 100% legal. Let me ask you, did you see 25 times your money in 2016? I doubt 99.99% of investors did. Yet these are the millionaire-making returns that pot stocks are famous for. Here's just a snapshot of gains from marijuana stocks in 2016. 4,500% on Cannabix Pharmaceuticals, 2,100% on United Cannabis Corp., 1,969% on Weed Inc., 820% on Abatis Bioceuticals, 2,066% on American Cannabis Company, 5,800% on Agritech Holdings. The examples go on and on. These are the kind of 10 and 100 bagger gains seen from cannabis stocks, all in just the last 12 months. The kinds of returns I once again expect from this streaming company. So it should come as no surprise that after years of spending taxpayer dollars waging war against marijuana, lawmakers are giving up the losing battle and going all in on the green rush. The Washington Post reports the people lining up to profit include former sheriffs and state lawmakers, wealthy business executives, and well-connected political donors. The Boston Globe adds that former elected officials and politically connected figures have joined the marijuana sweepstakes. It's an absolute gold rush, says Massachusetts attorney John Sheft. You are an idiot if you are running a dispensary and you can't make a couple of $1 million in profit. And they're not alone. Billionaire political donors are joining the frenzy too, including Trump confidant Peter Thiel, who just staked $75 million on a marijuana venture firm. Tesla's Elon Musk is developing batteries that could power indoor marijuana growers. George Soros, a big-time Democratic donor, is buying into mass marijuana cultivation farms. Even Warren Buffett is joining the frenzy. Bloomberg reports that the Oracle from Omaha is now putting money in marijuana storage facilities. Bill Gates' Microsoft, which spends $10 million per year on lobbying, just got into the pot industry. The mega conglomerate is now offering software that tracks pot growth from seed to sale. And with the legalization unfolding rapidly, the New York Times says, Microsoft is well placed for the action. In fact, the cannabis boom is so lucrative that former Microsoft executive Jamin Shively, who worked directly with Bill Gates, left the software giant to begin a marijuana startup. According to Shively, aka the Bill Gates of cannabis, the industry is on track to create more millionaires than Microsoft. Politicians, government insiders, and their billionaire donors, they're all piling into marijuana ventures in anticipation of the legalization in North America and beyond. But the opportunity to become millionaires is not just for these powerful players. In fact, everyday Americans are now getting rich on the end of pot prohibition, 100% legally. Take Jeffrey Moss, a 40-year-old North Washington farmer. Last year, he couldn't afford a car and had to rely on his parents for money and his friends for meals. Now legalization has made him a millionaire on his marijuana holdings, virtually overnight. In fact, since the state law passed last year, he's grossed $5 million. Then there's Carrie Vincetti, 33, who left her job as a paralegal to join the Green Rush, not to sell marijuana, but as a consultant to startup cannabis entrepreneurs. With so many people looking to make a killing on the Green Rush, her own business is booming. So far, she's raked in a $2 million fortune. And there's Alan Gostov, who lost all of his savings investing in a music venture. He and his wife were sleeping on cardboard furniture and had a baby on the way when they moved out to Anaheim, California, and opened a marijuana business. They went from being almost homeless to raking in over $1 million last year. The examples go on and on. People everywhere are waking up overnight to find themselves sitting on a mountain of riches. CNN calls them the new marijuana millionaires. Now you can join these brand new millionaires without starting a business, owning a farm, or ever touching an ounce of marijuana. In fact, in order to make a fortune from the cannabis boom, you don't have to live in a state where marijuana is legal, you don't have to sign any petitions or do any political advocacy. You just need to buy into the streaming company now. before word gets out about its new disruptive model and other shareholders come piling in. Remember, I got an early heads up on this opportunity because of the network I've created after years of covering the cannabis investment sector. Look, marijuana legalization is inevitable. It's happening. A $150 billion tidal wave of wealth is about to be unleashed. There's no question that pot is poised to create a whole new class of green rush millionaires. There's only one question left: how to buy in. That's the scoop I've got for you. For the last half-decade, I've had my feet wet in the marijuana market. I've gone out to dozens of companies' operations, sites that are kept secret from the public. I've seen their grow farms, met their executives, and hobnobbed with their biochemists. I've pulled back the curtain on the quarterly earnings report and seen their real profit potential. In short, I've gotten the insider's view that you won't hear from analysts sitting behind a desk. And I've honed in on this new marijuana streaming company as the next hot investment in the space. Using history as a guide, it could deliver nothing less than 4,265% profits moving forward. And that's just in the next short while. Legal marijuana is the kind of once-in-a-lifetime megatrend that delivers big wins. The kind you can retire on, with more money than you know what to do with. You see, we hardly ever see the birth of a new billion-dollar industry, or the opportunity to get in before these profits are unlocked, much less one where money is already there under the surface. That's what makes the emergence of America's newest and most lucrative industry, and this new marijuana streaming model, the most extraordinary profit opportunity I've ever seen. And even though the market is still only legal in some places, in the last 12 months, I've shown my readers multiple home run gains on some of the hottest emerging marijuana plays, like a whopping 830% gain on the Amazon of cannabis in 2016. In fact, I'm so confident this play could soar for tenfold gains, or higher, that I'm letting it ride for the long haul. I've recommended a marijuana VC firm that we sold partially for 120% gains in just 2 weeks. We let the other half ride, and as of writing this message, my readers and I are sitting on a 215% gain and later booked a 380% profit in just 2 to 3 months. I recommended a biotech developing marijuana treatments that we sold for 93% gains in 7 months, and a Canadian marijuana delivery company that handed us 73% gains in 7 months. Just in the past 2 weeks, we've seen double-digit gains on a hemp food producer and a legal cannabis firm. The list goes on and on. What sort of wealth is up for grabs? The good news is, we don't have to guess. In just 36 months, the legal market has surged from practically zero to a $4.4 billion industry. A newly released market report even calls legal marijuana America's fastest growing industry. Smartphones came in a distant second. Last year, sales surged 63%. The year before, they skyrocketed 74%. And the year before that, 64%. No market has taken off at this rate since the tech boom began in the early 90s. Now, remember, we've just seen the results of 4 states fully legalizing pot. 4 others just joined them in November. And as it spreads across the country, it's not hard to imagine this story will look a whole lot different. After all, we're looking at tens of millions of new and already existing customers. This is a giant mountain of money waiting to be unlocked. When all is said and done, hedge fund Acral Capital estimates the legal market at a whopping $100 billion. That's an incredible sales surge of 2,300%. And that's from a very conservative forecast. In fact, the Cohen Group, a New York market research firm, estimates California's legal market alone is a whopping $25 billion opportunity. One thing is clear. We're experiencing the kind of astronomical growth that turns everyday folks into millionaires. Which is why financial journalist Todd Harrison calls marijuana the best investment idea of the next decade. The Daily Bell takes it a bit further, claiming it's the profit opportunity of the 21st century. And one hedge fund owner told Wall Street investors, there is a massive potential. It is untapped, it is just sitting there below the surface, and is ready to come above ground. It's also why Silicon Valley is now scrambling to join the green rush. In fact, at my recent Money Show presentation, I spoke to early VC investors in companies like Uber, Reddit, and Tesla Motors. All are pouring capital into emerging marijuana startups, and see even bigger opportunity than anything Silicon Valley has delivered since the iPhone. The Financial Times now calls marijuana Silicon Valley's hot new sector. And as the LA Times puts it, they're leveraging the legalization of marijuana into a windfall. So are Fortune 500 corporations, including companies previously opposed to marijuana legalization, like Big Tobacco, Big Agriculture, Big Pharma. All are now getting a piece of the action. All are putting down millions in marijuana before it's legal nationwide.